Soon, the results of the deduction came out. Water, suitable sunlight, temperature, atmosphere, and other data appeared in Sebastian's mind. At the same time, he was observing the condition of the planet he had just awakened. This yellow planet is no different from most newly awakened planets. On the surface, it was mostly sand and stones. The temperature is below zero, so it is extremely cold and there are no traces of water. The environment is harsh, which is not suitable for living. Naturally, it is impossible to give birth to life. According to the data given by the system, Sebastian began to modify. The first was the appropriate temperature and sunlight. Originally, Earth had the existence of the sun, so it had this condition, but in the awakened space, there is only one small planet. Fortunately, there is origin energy in this world, and it could be converted into all kinds of energy. Sebastian directly converted the origin energy into light energy. It was the creation of an artificial sun. The size, position, and distance of this artificial sun are set according to the deduction data. In the awakening space, outside the yellow planet, a golden energy ball appeared. It looked like a glowing star. In reality, it was just an energy body that was converted from origin energy. The artificial sun was born. Sebastian realized that half of his origin energy had been consumed, but he heaved a sigh of relief, as inside the artificial sun was a nuclear fusion reaction. Light energy and ordinary energy are produced. If it was converted into extraordinary energy, then the origin energy would be consumed even more. Under the sunlight, the temperature on the surface of the yellow planet began to rise bit by bit. Following this trend, he would be able to go from negative to positive soon. The problem of temperature and sunlight was solved. Next, Sebastian began to deal with the problem of the atmosphere and water. As the owner of this small planet, he had the greatest authority, and he could modify his planet at will. But if there was no deduction system, a newborn planet would be like a newborn baby. It is extremely fragile. One modification that was not good could collapse a planet, even resulting in collapse. The setting of the atmosphere is relatively simple, so Sebastian quickly set it up. As for water, it is slightly troublesome. However, with the help of origin energy, Sebastian converted hydrogen and oxygen. Step by step, he synthesized a portion of water. On the planet, it is gradually covered by water, and the surface of the planet slowly changes color. In the end, it became a small ocean, and land occupied only a small portion. For other aspects, Sebastian adjusted the gravity, magnetic field, crustal movement, and so on. It is the same as Earth in his previous life, so the birth of life is a relatively long process. After setting it according to the system's data, the shape and environment of this planet were already perfect. Compared to Earth in his previous life, it is not worse. However, the birth of life still requires time. The system's deduction time was about 100 million years. The time flow in the awakened space is the same as the real-time flow outside, which is 1-to-1. In other words, if he had to wait for the birth of life, it would take over 100 million years. Sebastian would not be able to live another 10 lifetimes. Fortunately, origin energy could accelerate time. Sebastian did not hesitate and used less than half of his origin energy for time acceleration of the awakening space. 1 to 10, 1 to 100, 1 to 10,000, 1 to 100 million. Until it accelerated to 1 to 1 trillion, Sebastian stopped. As long as there is enough origin energy, in theory, it could be accelerated infinitely. But not many people would do that. Other planets were equivalent to an artificial ecosystem. Not to mention accelerating, they couldn't take care of it all day. It was possible that some unexpected accidents might occur and cause the ecosystem to collapse. For example, there was once a student. After the birth of life, he did not take care of it for a few days. In the end, the planet's ecology collapsed and all its life was gone. This caused the planet to degenerate and become a dead star. The student was also demoted from a planet master to a commoner. During this extremely fast acceleration process, the entire planet underwent a drastic change. In 100 million years, the sun continued to shine on the surface of the planet, and the surface temperature slowly rose. It rose to an extremely high number that the crust slowly moved. In the sky, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Clouds were piling up and heavy rain drifting down. The shape of the land also changed greatly. In the small ocean, the water temperature was so high that various gases began to appear. For example, carbon monoxide, hydrogen, ammonia, hydrogen sulfide, and so on. These gases formed organic molecules, and as time passed, some small molecules of organic compounds began to dehydrate, gradually synthesizing proteins. Through thermal polymerization, the small molecules formed organic polymers such as proteins, polysaccharides, nucleic acid, etc. Protein is the main substance that forms an organism. Polysaccharides, sugars, and so on were the skeletons that formed many cells, the main components of the cell wall. There was also nucleic acid as genetic material. These organic macromolecules are beginning to evolve into primitive single cells. These are the three parts of the birth of life. First, gases synthesized small organic molecules. Second, small organic molecules were synthesized into organic polymers. Third, organic polymers evolved into primitive single-celled life. It looked simple, but to be natural, it's like the parts of a dump were automatically assembled into a car. The odds were slim, as it could only be described as a miracle among miracles. Even with system help, this process still took 100 million years. Of course, at a time flow rate of 1 trillion, it was less than an hour outside. Finally, in a body of water at a high temperature, the first life on the planet was born.